Hey guys, how are you doing? Jen Carrasco here. Helping you guys with all of your questions and answers this Wednesday. And I am going to actually hop in and check some of the questions. I did not debrief myself before this, so stay tuned. So the first submitter that we have is AJ, and it's AJ Coots, and he says, how do you wake up early consistently? So, business description background. I struggle immensely with consistency, waking up early consistently. I'll do great for about 30 to 60 days and absolutely fall or fail for the next 30 to 60. I've read lots of books on it and implemented many different systems, but none of them have helped me truly be successful at this long term. So that is something I deal with continuously because I am someone who needs a strict routine in order to thrive and function. It's hard to do that with how much travel I do to make sure that I get the adequate amount that I need to, and staying on track. So my key to you is this handy little thing that we have here. I set a timer on my phone, and the timer will go off at like 7 o'clock. And then I know, okay, I have an hour to wind down, do whatever I need to do. And then I actually have another timer set at 8:30. So that gives me an hour and a half to get anything that I need done. And then I know I'm in bed by 9 to 9:30. I am a strict person when it comes to a routine because I feel that if my routine is not set up perfect the night before, my morning goes crazy and my morning isn't conducive to what I need. So for myself, I'm extremely strict and rigid when it comes to that. Now, when I travel, I try to keep at that same routine. So even if I'm 3 hours ahead, I'll still follow my routine like I would being back home. So for me, that is what works. Another thing too is that I'm sure if you're dealing with this as far as waking up early, you're probably dealing with this with your day-to-day functions in life, as the fact of, are you getting enough sleep? Is your workout timed in through your day? I have everything timed out. So for me, I will wake up, probably about 6 in the morning. I know I give myself 2 hours to get stuff done that I need in the morning. Then after that 2 hours, I either go to my workout or I'm going to my clinic or I'm doing something else. Like I have it strategically planned. Then I also have planned that Sundays are my complete day off, and that is with my boyfriend, right? So I have literally everything planned and dialed in my calendar to where I have to be organized. And if I'm not organized, then it falls on me. Then it falls on the lack of, if I'm not getting something done, I should have stayed with my plan, right? So that is food for thought for you. I hope that helps. The next question that I have is again from AJ. And it says, what's your advice for maximizing results of a new fitness challenge? So I've started a 75-day program shortly, and I want to get the maximum benefit from it for my personal development. What is your advice? P.S. I have failed it once before. What are things you do to stick with things? So I'm assuming that you're probably doing 75 hard because Andy Frisella is one of my great friends and mentors. And I have done this program several times. I could be wrong if you're not doing that, but I have done this several times. And what I just told you, you need to stick to a program. So I have a calendar, and my calendar is literally, if I'm off at 5 o'clock, it will say 5 to 6:30, I'm working out. Like it's in there. And it will beep, it will go off, and I stay true to my calendar. So I live and breathe by my calendar. If you are not doing it, I have some people that I mentor that are great success and they do not live on a calendar, but I'm telling you, in order to be what you want to be and be successful probably in the area that you want, I highly suggest to live and breathe by a calendar. The next question I have is from Robin Turpin. What strategy would you use to speak with a gallery or company to help sell your art if you are an artist? Business description and background. I am an independent artist and I called Art for Com. I asked this to know how to approach possible galleries or sales agents to help increase revenue. Thank you so much. So my suggestion for you, and I've done this with my skincare line when I first started it, is I would pop into like spas. So say I'm an artist. I would pop into galleries. I would hand them my card. I would hand them my information. I would personally meet that person one-on-one. Then I would do a follow-up. I would do 2 days afterwards. I would probably do an email, maybe even followed up with a call. I'd probably hit them with both. So then they know that you are somebody who really wants to be noticed or be around them or help them with whatever they need. I would even offer maybe to help with certain things if you possibly can do that in the art gallery. And then after you do, the follow-up 2 to 3 days after that, I would personally write them a handheld card sent to them. And I would do that about 7 days after. Then what I would do is about 14 days again, I would do the same follow-up again. I would stop in, then 2 to 3 days later, I would do a phone call and an email. Then after that, I would do a handwritten letter. The reason why is because they are always going to remember who you are. If you just show up one time or you make a phone call, nobody's going to call you back. But if you're somebody who constantly shows up and is there, they're going to remember your name. They're going to remember who you are. And they're going to automatically call you when a spot needs filled or if they need anything. So that is my food for thought with that. The next question is from Kristen Lander, and it says, what are some things I need to consider when looking to hire a VA? Also, how much can I expect to pay them? So your background is, as I'm laying the foundation to scale my one-on-one nutrition coaching business, I'm finding the need to offload a bunch of busy work. Things like cleaning, auto transcriptions of my podcast to send to my copywriter for content repurposing, blogs, social media posts, etc. We're applying into applications for potential new clients and onboarding them onto my own app. Things like that. I have someone interested in the job, but she doesn't have VA experience. No clue what to offer her to pay, or should I go with a professional VA? So I'm going to give you a couple options and scenarios that you can think about, because I've done this a couple different ways. For my coaching business, I really needed an assistant, which would be a VA, which would do everything that you were talking about, right? She would do, my social media posts, my engagement, my comments, all of that. I needed a little bit more than what a VA could offer. And I really wanted somebody who was local because I wanted to really be able to pick up the phone and talk to them and engage with them, which you can do with the VA. But for me, I wanted somebody a little bit more personable because eventually as my brand grew, I knew that I needed somebody to probably come with me to events to assist me. So that's kind of how I tackled it. And I did that at first because eventually when it's the point that she needs to be my right-hand person, she can hire somebody and train them under me to take care of what she did. So I was looking at it from that aspect, but I did have the funds to pay her. So it depends on what you can pay. So somebody like that, because she is local, she is really at my beck and call, and she's going to be my assistant that follows me places. I pay her about $2,500 a month, which is on the lower scale. She's going to eventually earn a lot more than that, depending on the ROI that I get off of everything that I'm doing. So she's been with me a little under a year, so it hasn't really made it to that yet. But if I was somebody that didn't have the extra income that I could pay that for, I would hire definitely a VA. And it might behoove you to hire one VA to do multiple things and you teach them, or it might behoove you that you hire separate VAs. Maybe one that takes care of your social media, one that takes care of your onboarding, and you can keep it that way. And then that way you can also keep it part-time, so it's not as expensive. VAs run all different, and it depends on, of course, if they know exactly what they're doing in the job, or if they can speak really good English and they have to talk to your clients. So it depends on that way as well. So that is my feedback for you. You could get a VA anywhere from probably $5 an hour to $2,000 a month, or if not more, depending on what your needs are and what your expectations are. Do I think you can train somebody? Absolutely. That's exactly what I did. And then I just made sure that she was acceptable and she kind of followed what I wanted, and make sure that you're investing in the right person. So that is my take back for you on that one. So the next one is Shane Noble. The question is, how do I get employees to follow outlined process? Description is, construction business. We have processes outlined so that the product goes on directly and also functions correctly. We also have this outline so that we can gauge how quickly the project can be done and set the expectations with the customer. So how do you get employees to follow outlined processes? So if they're your employees and they are working for you, they should be following your outline process no matter what, because they're working for your company. If you're having problems with people following your processes, then you probably have the wrong people in the wrong seat. And that is probably something that you need to analyze yourself and make sure that they are the right people in the job that can get these done. Another thing you can do is, with your outline process, make it to the point that they have to check mark every single thing that they do after they're done. That way they have accountability. So then that way, if something is not done the way that the process is telling them to get done, you know exactly where they skipped a step there. And then you can make them accountable for that. So I would do a guideline where they actually have to check or initial each process that they are doing. So the next question again is from Shane Noble. And he asks, how do you hold managers accountable for when they don't do the things they need to do for a deadline? Now, this goes back to the last question that was asked. You need to make sure that you have the right people in the right seat. Okay? If they are the wrong person in the seat and they're not getting these deadlines done that need to be done, they need to be held accountable for this. So the best thing I would do, and I start off all my companies, is we start off with an accountability chart, right? So in that accountability chart, say it's a marketing, or actually let's just say it's a HR department, right? In the HR department, I have pinpointed 5 things that they need to be done in that department, and they own that department. And what happens is in our weekly meetings, if they are not done with that, then it gets dropped to a discussion that we have a major discussion of why they're falling behind on deadlines and why things aren't being done. And then in that point, you can make a discretion of, okay, do they have too much on their plate? Or are they just the wrong person that we need in that seat? That is what I highly recommend. And then also making sure that maybe you're doing a weekly measurable with your team. And a weekly measurable is who owns that measure? When is that measure, or what is, like, let's say, I don't know, they're going to pour concrete and they have to do 10 pours within 10 days or something like that, right? So you have that measurable, you have the amount that they have to do, and who is that measurable assigned to. And then when you're having your weekly meetings with these people, it's going to make them accountable. And they're going to have to say in the meeting, I did not get that done. And they have to describe why didn't they get that done. So then now you're making them accountable in front of other people, and there is deadlines. So I hope that helps. I know with myself, it helps out with every single company that I go in and I work with. Okay, next question is Gaber. And he says, the question is, how can I get started figuring out what process to develop and how many people to hire so that we're not overly dependent on any one particular employee? Great question. The background is our business is currently doing $1 million a year in revenue. We have 3 partners who all actively work in the business, 7 employees, and a lot of contractors. We work with on project by project basis. We have also outsourced some of the processes. For example, a fulfillment center handles shipping orders from our e-commerce store. Everything works well when everybody's at their desk, but things start to get difficult when you remove any one person because of vacation or sickness. So I have seen this a lot in companies. So I'm going to restate this again. How can I start figuring out what process to develop and how many people to hire so that we're not overly dependent on any one particular employee? This is my suggestion. You need to start with your accountability chart, okay? Accountability chart, if you don't have it, you should go look it up. It is going to be like your marketing department, your HR department, your ops department. And each person, there's going to be one person that's going to own accountability chart. So, or not a chart, but a role in the accountability chart. So one person is going to own the marketing. One person's going to own the ops. One person's going to own HR, right? And what's going to happen is they're going to own that. They're going to have their roles. And then as that department gets too big, it's going to multiply into maybe 1 or 2 different departments. And somebody's going to have to own each one of those departments. But the main department is owned by one person. And that one person is managing the people underneath them. So what happens is most of those people should know the processes because it should be interlaid to where they each teach each other the process in the HR department. Okay. So then if one person is sick, they can pick up the slack and do that. So I hope that makes sense. If not, Google an accountability chart and the functions of how to build that yourself, because this right here would alleviate all of your problems. And every company that starts should always start first with accountability chart. And the accountability chart is going to be an outsource of what your company is going to look like 6 to 12 months from now. So, sorry, I have allergies, you guys. Okay. So the next question is from Felicia. Felicia says, what's the best way to move away from the service I offer, healing, one-on-one with clients, into a membership format, and how do I price it approximately? So the background is I have 18 courses and programs on healing and energy work that I can roll out into a membership site. I want to offer this to people for a monthly fee. With other teachers and healers that I bring in to do monthly teaching, I want to stay out of this. I don't have the revenue up front to pay people to host classes online, so I'm not sure how to phase into this. Would tiered pricing be the best, a lifetime option? I would not offer a lifetime option because your prices are probably going to increase and go. A tiered pricing, I think that's completely up to you. But if you are going to roll out a monthly membership fee, I would keep it super simple. It gets too difficult for people if they have more than 2 to 3 choices. So you want to keep it, I would say 2 choices, 3 choices, the max. A lot of mine are just 1 to 2 choices that they get. And you can keep it at that. And then if you already have 18 course programs, so you know how to work that. So I'm gonna go back a little bit and rephrase this, because I don't know if you want tiered pricing for the people you're bringing in for teaching. And if that is the case, I would probably do a tiered pricing for the teaching aspect to pay them for whatever they bring in. They get certain commissions off of what they do. But for a tiered pricing for your clients, I wouldn't. I would keep it basic 1, 2, 3 the most. And I would not do a lifetime option. That is your discretion. But I know as you grow and get bigger, I think it would be a downfall for you. That is my suggestion. I hope that helps. I wish I had a little bit more info to go in on that one. The next question I have is from Nadia. And Nadia says, when first starting out in business as a stylist to make extra money, would you have a second job or a side hustle or gig? Business background. Currently, I rent space in a salon someone else owns. I'm a hairstylist. My goal is to own my own and rent space or have my own salon with stylists that work in my studio. Currently, I have a few slow months throughout the year and wondering if working a second job would take away from my focus. I do work a few days a month at a bar, but I have been thinking about picking up more. I simply want to build enough savings to be able to get my own space to grow in. What would you recommend? So this question is more of a question for an individual person, right? Everybody has their own description of what they think. You would have one person that says, put it all into that one thing and just build and don't do anything else so you can take clients, every moment. Some people say, well, you should get a second job to save the money, to put away, to build that clientele. So my feeling to you is, if you're working a second job to put money away to build a studio for yourself, but you're not fully established yet, I would not do that. Because when you're fully established, you should have that extra money and the money coming in to show, even if you got a loan, that you could open up a space yourself, right? Because you're already established. So my goal for you would be establish yourself, get fully booked as much as you can to where you know you have extra money to put in on something else as you grow that other business. Now, if you're a hairstylist right now and you're trying to build up that clientele, but you're not fully established and you need a second job to help pay for your bills, then you have to do that because you have to make ends meet, right? And also when you're there, it's not going to hurt to give out your card to people or initiate people to know that you actually do hair for a living. I'm going to give you a little trick that I did when I was first opening up my second salon. And I found, so I was an esthetician, right? So I found a couple good hairstylists that were in the area, and I created gift certificates for them. And I went into their salon and I said, hey, listen, this is for you to give to your amazing clients, like your high-end clients, your clients that are in here every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks. And I want you to give them a gift certificate, right? So I gave her like 5 gift certificates for a facial. And what she did is she gifted it to her client as if she gave it to her. So it was like a present. So it was a win-win, right? She got her client thinking, wow, I'm special. You got me a present. And then the client's going to come see you. But the client is an amazing client that sees her every 4 weeks. That is now going to be on your books. So that is huge for a little tip to help you with that. And I hope that does help you, because it helped me a lot to build a lot of my spaces. Okay, so the next question is from Grant Elliott. And it says, how do I determine what amount of pay would be best for a new trainer for my online coaching business? I own an online back rehab coaching business. I am hiring some online trainers to help me grow the business. My company will obtain the clients and do all the admin work, and the trainers will train clients. How do I determine what's the best rate of pay for them? So I'm going to give you an example of what I do for my estheticians when I hire them to come in and work for the clinic. I do it off of a tier based. So when they first come in, I have to train them, right? I have to give them all, or not me, but my assistant has to train them, has to walk them through all the processes, has to go over everything. So what I do is I start them off at a commission, like a 20% commission. And I pay them 20% of what they do. And then what happens is as long as they're there and they keep growing, we revisit that. Maybe like every 2 months or every 3 months, I'll revisit it and I'll up their commission to what they're bringing in. But my max commission that I would give somebody would be 40%, right? So that is how I would start it. Maybe you start off at 10% and you build up that way, or you start off at 20, whatever works for you. But that's my suggestion, because then you're not paying them a certain salary if they're not bringing in something. So that is just one way to do it going forward. Next question that I have is from Patricia Watson, and it says, do you use the same content for all social media platforms? What's the best way to market between platforms without being redundant? So good question. I do this a lot. If you follow me, you might see it or you might not see it. But what I do is whatever I post on my personal Facebook, if it's business wise, I will take that and then maybe the following week I'll post that on my Instagram. And so I'll mix match them so you're not seeing the same content in each platform each day. It's mixed up because it's going to hit different people at different times, right? Then what I do is I see my most engaged social media that I did, and I turn that into an email. And then I will email blast my clients and even maybe tag that Facebook to get people funneled into that Facebook group, right? So it's not that you're being redundant, but if you're mixing it up enough, you're going to have great content. And a lot of people are not going to see that on each platform. You have Instagram platforms people, you have Facebook platform people. A lot of them don't go back and forth. I know I do, but a lot of them don't. But I do not recommend posting something on Instagram that gets funneled to Facebook of the same thing. I think you're completely doing a disservice. You do need to mix it up a little bit. And then what I do is for my podcast, I will post that on my Facebook, just like a little tidbit that will link them to my YouTube. And then I'll post my full one on my YouTube. And then what I do is my Instagram, I'll do a little blurb, and the same with the story that will link them all to the YouTube. So then that way you're generating them going to different platforms as well. So that is my suggestion for you for that one. The next question is Rohit. If I butcher, I'm so sorry. And the question is, what is the minimum needed for ad costs through Facebook and Instagram? So good question. I do not know what the minimum is. Your background says, I was talking to a digital marketing agency. My budget was $100 a month, and they were telling me that's too low. A minimum of $600 a month is needed for exposure that we will need. I'm going to give you a little food for thought with this one, because I've been doing a lot of content and I get a lot of organic growth. So depending on your marketing, what I've learned over a period of time is I don't necessarily just give somebody $600 a month to an agency to do marketing. I will look at the posts that did good, and I'll look at the exposure that they got, and then I will rev up marketing underneath that. If you are just constantly pushing marketing out, and so you want to have that, I actually do agree that I think $100 a month is definitely on the lower scale. And it also depends on what type of product you're trying to do, right? So for me, if I were to promote skincare, $600 would not be enough, because I have to compete with Nordstrom's, Macy's, all these other places. So I would have to promote like probably $25,000 a month, right? Now, if I was selling, I don't know, like a pet collar, well, then $600 a month is probably plenty for that. So there's different variations for your business. I personally think if you were just starting out and you only have $100 a month to do, I would go and look at which ones kicked off in your Instagram or your Facebook, and I would put money behind those ones. And that's what I would do. And keep the money at that. Don't go back in mid-session and add more money, because it's going to recreate that Facebook ad. So just keep it where it is and let it run its course. That is my suggestion. Next one is Rachel Hassan, and her question is, how do I trust a hire with my business methods and secrets? Good question. Background: I have an Amazon account management company and I want to grow, so I need someone somewhat qualified as me to duplicate myself in my business so I can trust them and let them do what I do. Okay, so Rachel, this is something that all entrepreneurs deal with. And it's the scary part of being an entrepreneur is the fact that somebody might come in and take over what we created and take everything from us, right? That's our biggest fear. And it's a fear we have to get over, because in every company that I help or every company that I've run, you actually need to hire somebody who's better than you. Every job you do in the company, every company you have, you need to hire somebody who is going to replace you. It is the only way you're going to grow your company. And the thing is that there's not a lot of entrepreneurs out there. There's not a lot of people that want to take that risk and do that. There's a lot of people that just want to be right next to you by your side, let you lead the way, and they'll do the magic behind you. So I think you need to put that fear aside and know that it's not going to happen. Well, I shouldn't say it's not going to happen, but most likely it's not. There's so many times that we've hired people in our companies that are way better than us, that know way more than us, that could take over our clients and our customer or everything that we have. But the thing is that they don't have the entrepreneur spirit. So that's what you have to take. You have to know that if you treat these people that work for you very good, they're not going to go anywhere, right? So that is my food for thought for you. It's something that we all deal with, and we just have to. You will have a successful business if you know that you are to hire somebody to replace you. That is when it grows. That is when it expands. Next question comes from Joshua Cortez, and it says, how often should someone follow up with a referral partner? The background. I'm asking this question because I am in business as a loan broker. I am trying to get a company to sign a referral contract, but they have not yet already called and have 3 touch points in times I've already followed up. So my question for you is, you're not going to let it go after 3 touch points. I mean, this is a client that you want. You need to be persistent. And I'm not saying calling them every day and bugging them, but definitely do a little thing like I like to do is I follow up with them on a phone call. If they don't answer, I send them an email. I do a phone call and an email. Then 7 days later, I do a handwritten letter to them. Then 14 days after that, or 7 days after that, you follow up with a call, and then an email again, and then a handwritten letter. There's nothing wrong with you. All that's going to happen is maybe he's going to pick up the phone and he's going to say, stop contacting me, but he's going to know your name going forward. He's going to know who you are. And most likely the squeaky wheel gets it. You're going to get it. You're showing persistence. You're showing that you care. You're showing that you want to be a part of that. So for me, that is my suggestion for you. And that is what I would do. And I guess that actually concludes our session today. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm sorry I'm all congested, but I'm feeling good. And I hope you guys have a phenomenal Wednesday. And we will see you again next month.